And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back into a live stream. Haven't done this in a while, a true live show. I know I do the videos, I do the live reactions, but an actual random Wednesday night show edition. Always good to be back here, guys. Shout out to They Love Chris for the first comment. Brett Zimmerman, Jaguars United in the chat. That's what's up. Not only is he in the chat, but he's in the show.
Yeah,
what's going on, Jason?
There wasn't a bunch of build up there. Come on.
Hey, man, I saw your comment and I was like, you know what? The elephant's in the room. You're in the title. You know, you're everywhere. So
Yeah.
What's going on, man? How's everything been? I know you're killing it over there on the YouTube channel with all your live shows and film breakdowns. Always love the stuff you put out.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Just having a lot of fun with the Jags this year. I mean, I think you can attest to there's been a little bit more traction amongst Jags fans and content saturation. So when your team is competitive, it's crazy how that happens. But I appreciate you having me on your show. It's always a great time and an honor to be on your show. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite the roller coaster. I mean, you lose the first game barely, and then you go on a 2-game winning streak, and we're like 2-1, feeling good. And then that 5-game losing skid, it just sucks, man, doesn't it? The team looked good, and then we weren't able to edge out some victories, but then the Jaguars do beat the Raiders, so it's got us feeling pretty. I mean, I feel pretty good right now, but. And now you kind of look back and you're like, man, that 5-game losing streak really sucked.
Yeah, I mean, there's some games there they could have won and made this season look a lot different. You look at the Texans, you look at the Broncos, those 2 games there, I mean, we could have made up a lot of ground if we won those.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, we're where we're at. I've been talking about it all year. I have perspective. I've been a fan for this team for a long time. I know the times when it wasn't too long ago that at 17-0, all Jags fans turn off the TV and they enjoy their Sunday. But we kind of all felt like that something was going to happen here on the 17-0, and the Jags came back and won. So that's promising to see a team that has the ability to overcome adversity like that.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Shout out to Stole Cold Steve Boston with a $2 donation. What's going on, man? Love all your shows, bro. And yeah, that's the thing. Like we've been, we've seen a lot of bad Jaguar teams, but this year does have a silver lining. First of all, I love Doug Peterson's playbook. I know sometimes his play calling can be what are you doing, in different circumstances. But man, just some of the plays that he draws up, all the creativity and scheming guys open, when it comes to sometimes the balance too. I mean, I love it. And also there's Trevor Lawrence too. And I know Trevor Lawrence has been really up and down, and at times it's been hard to defend him, but we've gone through so much bad quarterback play where I'm willing to be patient with Trevor Lawrence. We know there's going to be rough patches and we're just going to have to endure it. But really, when you see him play at his best, like that game against the Raiders, he made some phenomenal throws, and he should right now. Trevor Lawrence should keep getting better. I think the main thing we're hoping to see out of Trevor Lawrence is just to have fewer bad games. There's that Broncos game was a stinker. He's thrown out some game. The Texans game, it's he's put together some games where it's dude, what are you doing? But I think you need to mitigate those games. All quarterbacks have bad games, so I'm not saying he can't have a bad game anymore, but mitigate those and just let's let him see play more games like the Raiders games. And I think, hopefully next year we get a lot better of a team with more talent around him.
I mean, something that we talk about all the time is we, as Jags fans for a while, we've had these teams that are terrible and they're bad, and it's kind of ruined football for us because in reality, there's no bad players in the NFL. And in reality, there's good players and then there's inconsistent players. So we now have a team full of inconsistent players, which is the next step. So now we just need to get these guys, like you said, like Trevor Lawrence to mitigate the bad games, to be consistent. Josh Allen to be consistent. Travis Etienne, he's figured it out. He looks consistent. So we need Doug Peterson's play calling to be consistent. So the next step for this team is consistency. And that's really the mark of a good team more than skill and talent, because all these guys have skill and talent. So getting consistent, what will it take to get there? I hope to see it by the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing now. I mean, the Jaguars are now with the 17-game schedule. We're like 9 games in, so now we're officially like over the hump. Right now the Jaguars sit at 3-6, and I know there have been people reaching out to me. They're like, okay, like, can the Jaguars still make the playoffs? And that's a tricky question. I mean, right now when you look at it, it's going to have to be through the AFC South most likely. That's the easiest path in. And right now you have the Titans up there, and the Titans are going to be the team to beat. I mean, the Colts, I don't know what the hell the Colts are doing right now. I mean, when they started Sam Ellinger, I mean, you got to think that they were thinking tank at the back of their heads. And by bringing in Jeff Saturday, I mean, they're a team that went from like quarterback paradise to now the quarterback outhouse, where like different starting quarterback every year, and you're seeing kind of what that's getting them. And then the Texans too. The Texans have 1 win. They're not going to be into contention, so it's going to be between the Jaguars and the Titans. So really, with 8 games left, if you want a shot at the playoffs, you have to sweep the Titans. 100% have to sweep the Titans. And then that leaves 6 games. I think you have to go 4-2 on those other games. Now we're the unfortunate thing is now we're in a tougher part of the schedule where, we have the Chiefs, the first real elite quarterback we play. Actually, outside of Jalen Hurts, the real first elite looking quarterback and proven quarterback that we played. And then after that, you have the Ravens, who are always good. So it's going to be a tough road. I know for me, I always hold on to hope. I'm not going to sit here and say, nope, no playoffs, or we're done. I'm going to sit here and hold out hope. But, with that 5-game losing streak, it really took out room for error now. And now the Jaguars have to, instead of these close losses, now we have to find ways to beat teams that are better than us. And at the very least, hopefully we win a few games, because look, the Vegas over-under for the Jaguars was 6-5, so I'm hoping for at least 7 wins, because that's doing better than Vegas thinks. But yeah, I mean, that's just what I hope, man. At the very least, let's sweep the Titans. Why don't we just do that?
I mean, it's going to be tough with that December game in Tennessee. Those December games up there in Nashville are just so cold, man. People don't realize how cold it gets up there in December. I don't know. It's something about where they're located in the mountains. It's just cold, man. It's like bone shattering. I don't know if it's the wind. Something's just cold. Regardless, we're in a good position where, yeah, it would be great if we made the playoffs, and we all want to make the playoffs. Any team wants to, because you can get the playoffs, you can catch fire, you can get hot, all that stuff. But we're in a good position where our target window is really next year. You're bringing in a guy like Calvin Ridley next year. Your cap casualties are guys that aren't that important to your team this year. Trevor Lawrence going into his 2nd year with Doug Peterson. Next year is really looking like that, like target year. So, like, best case scenario, they make the playoffs. Great. Maybe they make a run. Worst case scenario, they were competitive in every game. They pick up another draft pick, and then next year we're like ready to go with the squad. So we're in a win-win situation. I'm excited, man. I really am. So let's see what happens. Let's just hope all the games are competitive. Let's hope this week's competitive against the Chiefs, and let's just go from there.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, man. Like, next year, training wheels are off. Next year, I mean, I know you might laugh at this. Some people might laugh at this, but it's Super Bowl expectations, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, next year, training wheels are off. Trevor Lawrence, year 3, you have an older team. Your cornerstone players are older. I mean, it's time to really be able to like make a run. And like you mentioned, Calvin Ridley, I loved the Calvin Ridley train. I mean, I made a video about it. I think it was like February. It was 9 months ago. So, and I mentioned, I was like, and this was before the suspension of Calvin Ridley, but I heard he wanted out, and I was like, the Jaguars need to go get him. And I was willing. I said what we should do is, Falcons are drafting 10. We should trade for Calvin Ridley, swap 1st-round picks, basically move back 9 spots for him. I mean, I think he's like that good. And the fact that they were able to get him with such little, I mean, there's such low risk for this one. I mean, I love it. He's a really, really good wide receiver. And that also takes you out of because the Jaguars got to go desperation mode to get a wide receiver, whether it be overdrafting one or doing the AJ Brown or Stephon Diggs, trade a 1st-round pick for one. But now the Jaguars have handled that. So that's awesome. Now you can more so work on, okay, how are we going to shore up the tight end spot? Maybe bring in an additional defensive lineman, figure out that other cornerback spot. a lot of good stuff happening there. But I think the main thing is just like, keep Trevor Lawrence's trajectory up. But I mean, if you look at it, because I know, sometimes I make excuses for Trevor Lawrence and I can admit to that, but I don't think it's not a true excuse when the data shows that you need wide receivers. I mean, the look at the Eagles when they brought in AJ Brown, the Dolphins, what Tua's doing. I mean, these third-year quarterbacks are all benefiting because they got them playmakers. I mean, that's the true fact about it. These great teams, these playoff teams, they all have not one great receiver, but multiple. So I think getting Calvin Ridley was a huge step in the right direction for that. And I just hope that everything good happens with reinstatement. And I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that he'll be off.
I mean, I think you're spot on. It's really easy to look at these teams like the Dolphins. You look at these teams like the Eagles that have brought in these two wide receivers, and it makes it seem like we need to stack our wide receiver room. But if you really look at what modern coaches are doing, whether it be the guys off of Sean McVay's tree, the guys off of Andy Reid's tree, what they're doing is they're running the ball in max protection schemes, and then they're basically max protecting play action, sending two wide receivers down the field. So you need two wide receivers that, given 4 seconds, 3.5 to 4 seconds, can get open. So that's what the modern NFL is. It's really changing. Like, it used to be the spread out West Coast offense, but now it's turning into run the ball, take what the defense gives you with your tight ends and running backs, and then have two top-tier receivers that can get open on play action. So you're seeing that's what teams are doing. I think with Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk, you're solving that issue. And I saw that Steve Boston super chat about bringing in Quentin Johnston, and I get it, but I don't think that's where the NFL is headed. The NFL is having two top-heavy wide receivers, a tight end who can drag underneath, and a receiving running back who can squirt out underneath and release. And that's what the NFL is turning into. So we have every part except we were missing that second wide receiver who could run that max protect deep down the field scissors concept, the flood concept. When you have time to run a route, can you get open against a zone or a man? And adding Calvin Ridley puts them top heavy. I mean, because think about it. Realistically, Calvin Ridley's getting an $11 million contract next year from the Jags, and then probably going to have to re-sign him or franchise tag him after next year. So between him and Kirk, you're tying up a lot of your salary cap in that wide receiver position. So you have to draft where you need. So I think your first round pick goes like corner, interior defensive line, somewhere where you have a huge need because you've spent your money on that receiver position. You're set at running back. I think you bring Evan Ingram back probably, and your offense is set. But now you just have to solve the defense through the draft. So a good position, but the modern NFL is that top-heavy 1-2 wide receivers who can get open.
I still think a big need is to get like a tight end. And I'm talking about a true dual threat tight end. A guy that's not a liability in the run game, a guy that slips open. And it's interesting when you look at how the Jaguars are built versus what Doug Peterson's Eagles were built, because like we don't have a Zach Ertz, but also they didn't have like a true Travis Etienne. So, so I think Doug Peterson, this whole entire that's one thing about the Jaguars right now is there's just so much newness when it comes to like new coaches, like new additions through free agency, like a lot of rookies, like second-year guys contributing. Like everybody's like really starting to learn each other. And, I think just, from a fan's perspective, I mean, the offense you've seen change like really throughout the, I think Doug's, at first, he wanted to be, so pass heavy, but now I think he's relied on, okay, like this Travis Etienne guy is pretty good. Let's lean on him. I mean, he has like 3 or 4 starts and he's already 5th in the NFL in rushing. I mean, he is just he's a lot. I thought that he would be a lot more of a receiving type of running back, but he really doesn't have all that many receiving yards. He's just been like almost like a power back with speed. I mean, he's been really, really impressive. So, I think on the offense, and I'll be interested to see what they do with Juwan Taylor. I don't know if, and my thing is, I think they can afford him. I mean, when it comes to like salary caps, I see teams make it happen so many ways. And, I don't want to be a team that next offseason spends a lot of money in free agency for other players. I'd rather keep guys home. But really, when it comes to, yeah, I mean, I'd like to find a way to keep Juwan if at all possible, but kind of forget where I was going with this one, but yeah, I mean, there's there's minimal. The needs become a lot less next year, but yeah, I'm it's interesting to see really just all over the place, just a team kind of grow and figure out their identity.
Jawan Taylor is like one of those anomalies right now because it's like if you go off his PFF grades, his run blocking grades have been really poor, but his pass blocking grades have been really good. 73 is pretty good. But here's the stat that blows my mind about Jawan Taylor is he picked his contract year to be the year where he's only missed 5 snaps all year. Only Luke Fortner and Trevor Lawrence have played more snaps than Jawan Taylor, and it's by like 3 or 4 snaps. So the availability of Jawan Taylor and the ability to pass block, which is what I'm more interested in because I'm interested in preserving Trevor's health long term. I don't know. Like I'm stuck between this, try to resign Jawan Taylor, but at the same time, is he going to get more money on the open market? That's the question that always hurts on Jawan Taylor. I know your original point wasn't to get on Jawan Taylor, but I do think, like you
I
said,
think actually my original point, I was thinking, I wonder if they explore Walker Little as well. I was going to try to mention.
I mean, it's hard to know what this team thinks. Like, I wouldn't have drafted another linebacker in the 3rd round after having a surplus of linebackers. Chad Muma, it seemed like he played a lot last week, but he played like 5 snaps last week. So you have a guy that you drafted third round that is playing 5 snaps halfway through the season. That's not value at the 3rd round. It's not. So we can try to like guess like, okay, Walker Little is valuable, but like they obviously put no emphasis on where you were drafted. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they explore Walker Little, but if they won't give Chad Muma a shot into the lineup, then they'll obviously draft people anywhere. So it's really hard to guess what they're going to do with these players.
I mean, I would love to see a 2-game sample size of Walker Little. And the thing is, if you bench Jawan Taylor and let him play for a little bit, he's going to get pissed. So I wish he could like get knocked in concussion protocol for a couple games, just because I want to see because Walker Little wasn't impressive in preseason, but I'd love to see a couple of solid games where he's playing all the starts like how he does, because that's the real test. Because because he's a swing tackle right now, and Cam stays relatively healthy, especially this year. Then, I mean, Jawan Taylor, his whole entire career has been really healthy. I don't think he's actually missed a start. So, that's, and, you mentioned the whole, Chad Muma. I mean, it was funny. He played a little bit last game, and I think that's
5 snaps. It seemed like he played more, but he only played 5 snaps.
Well, I was right in front of, because I was at the Raiders game. I was right there where I was right in front of the corner where he I don't even know if that was, I don't know if that was pass interference. I don't know if they didn't call it because he kind of got his hand up at the end. That was definitely judgment call. I bet, it was like 30%, 70% on what refs would have called one way versus the other way, when it comes to the NFL refs.
They could have called Darius Williams on that last play of the game too, the 4th down. They could have called him a pass interference too. So it seemed like they were letting the defensive backs play, which I always love to see. But you're right. They could have called a lot of calls that game.
Yeah. Shout out to Steve. He says, think of it as a safety pick as well, because we only have him for 1 year plus another huge red zone. I think he was talking about Johnston.
Yeah, he's talking about Johnston and versus having Calvin Ridley. You didn't trade for Calvin Ridley to have for 1 year.
That's not a 1 year. I mean,
on paper it is. So I mean, he's right on paper, but they didn't send a draft pick for him for 1 year. I think realistically he gets maybe franchise tagged if he goes off next year or in 2 years. I think that's probably more realistic.
Yeah. That's I mean. But the plus side is if you only do keep him for 1 year, I think you're only giving up like a 5th round pick, right? But a 6th and a 5th. But yeah, you don't let Calvin Ridley go. He's really, really good. Like when it comes, and I think Trevor Lawrence with how quickly Trevor Lawrence gets rid of the ball and how quickly Calvin Ridley gets open when it comes to just his get off on the football, his speed, his really good route running. Yeah, that's he needs to be here to stay, and especially he has a huge knack for getting touchdowns. I think he has like 26 touchdowns his first 3 seasons. I mean, that is ridiculous. So yeah, that's going to be a franchise player for us. Get another super chat here. Kevin says, hey, I have been a Jags fan since I can remember, and I live in KC, and I'm going to the game this Sunday. I hope we can keep it close. There you go, man. I actually went to the downfall of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I went to the Kansas City game in 2018 when Bortles had 5 interceptions. That was the beginning of the end. I think that was actually the week after the Patriots game. No, actually, no, it wasn't. It was a week after the Jets game. So they're 3-1 going into that one. I was like, oh, AFC Championship game preview. Not so much. Yeah, we got killed. But hey, man, have fun. I think the Jaguars should keep it. I think the spread's like 9.5. So Vegas does not like us this game. But I always say, I mean, there's no game the Jaguars can't win. And I mean, which was crazy. I didn't watch the game on Sunday Night Football between the Titans and the Chiefs, but like somehow that game was in overtime when Malik Willis did not complete a single pass to a wide receiver. I don't know how that game went there, but Kansas City is susceptible to some sloppy losses. So hopefully we can catch them on a bad game.
I mean, what happens in the NFL is like fans don't like to believe it, but the level of competition and skill sets between these players is a lot closer than we think. When you look at stats and fantasy points, you create separation, but in reality, they're a lot closer than you think. So teams play, we can call it teams play up to their competition or teams play down to their competition. But the reality is these players are a lot closer than people think as far as talent. That's why they say any given Sunday. That's why the Jags wins in the recent history have been against like good teams, because and that's an encouraging thing is the Jags team this year, they play up or down to their competition. So whether they're playing the Chargers or, whether they're playing the Colts or the Texans, they're going to show up and they're going to go 10 rounds with whoever they're playing. So I'm optimistic about this week. I joke around about the Jags winning because the Chiefs are obviously a better team, but the Jags play up. The Jags play up against their competition. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they're going to get theirs. But outside of those two guys, a bunch of role players that Patrick Mahomes elevates. Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Don't forget about guys Tony. I'm a little afraid about Tony.
That Mahomes elevates. So, any given Sunday, that's the motto.
Yeah. Kevin with a $5 donation. Well, my first NFL game was a 2018 Cowboys game in Dallas against the Jaguars. And yeah, we got blown out, so don't feel too bad. Yeah, I don't know if any blowouts are in store for the Jaguars this year. It'd be certainly disappointing. I know last year, I mean, any given Sunday was going to be a blowout for us, but it's last week was trending in a bad direction, being down 17-0. Being down Devontae Adams to nothing after Devontae Adams was destroying us. But the Jaguars rallied. Awesome game. It was a hell of an environment. Were you at that one last week?
So I don't know if you heard, but since 2018, I've missed a handful of games. I live in Jacksonville. I go to most games. The handful of games that I have not gone to, the Jags have won. I haven't seen the Jags win in the stadium since 2017. So last week, I made a bet with my channel. I said, I'm not going to this week's game. If we win, I will not go to another game until we lose at home. So until the Jags lose at home, I will not go to another home game. Because I'm the bad luck. I'm the jinx. I can't go anymore until they.
There were people that were saying I'm the bad luck charm, like because I haven't gone to a Jags win since I think like 2019 in Denver during that Minshew game.
But I have season tickets. I go to every game, so just like randomly when I don't go, they win.
Well, I'm like the least superstitious man out there because I don't think me being in a stadium is going to affect anything. But I know sports fans. You're talking to a really, really superstitious.
You're talking to one. You're talking to one right now.
Yeah, I mean, people were saying I'm the bad luck charm, and I went and we won. So I've been ridded of that horrible stench.
Must be nice. Must be nice. I mean, I celebrated. Don't get me wrong. I celebrated after we won, but I can't go to the stadium until they lose at home, and that's the guarantee I made. And listen, I hope we win out and win the Super Bowl, and I'll be happy to not go to a game. But until that happens,
so the Jaguars, the season ticket holder, if the Jaguars host a playoff game, you won't be there. Oh my
I
god.
might wear a disguise and sneak in
I
and
was
not
about
tell
to say, man,
anybody.
'cause you went to that Bills game, right? That home playoff game.
Oh, of course, Ben
That was the
Koyak,
most hyped,
Jaguars
what,
legend.
10-7 game ever?
Oh, yeah, I mean, listen, I'll forever hold Ben Koyak in Jaguars lore because of that catch he made.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I remember being there and like for such a I mean, if you're a non-Jags fan and just an NFL fan, I mean, that game pisses you off because it was I guess a really boring game, but like man, being in that stadium, that environment, the white towels,
oh, there was nothing
like
boring about it. It was amazing.
and just leaving that game being like, dude, we that the Bills, their season's over and we
Yeah.
advance. Like and just the perspective of, oh my God, there's like 8 teams in the NFL right now that are still alive, and we're one of them. It's
Yep.
you don't really understand the feel until you're there. We've only really had the feeling once
In
while
a
we've
long
been
time.
adults. So like it's
I had 4 seats because I was with 3 buddies, 4 seats, and I'm not kidding you. There was 10 people packed into those 4 seats. We were in
yeah,
the end zone for that game. 10 people, like friends were just like, "Where are your seats? We're coming down." And just 10 people packed, and it was like that everywhere. And
yeah,
that was the environment. That was how it felt. The climate. It was awesome.
yeah. Kyle with a $10 donation. 2 of the best Jags YouTubers at the same time. I wore my Lawrence jersey for the first time on Sunday and we won. I'm not superstitious, but maybe I'm the good luck charm. That's what it is. Kyle's the good luck charm.
Kyle, you better wear that jersey every game for the rest of the season. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hell yes.
And
And by the
don't
way,
wash it. Do not put that thing in the don't dry clean it. Don't wash it. Put it on with the stains and the ketchup and the beer, everything. Put it on. That you gotta wear it.
100%. By the way, guys, I'm here with Jason from Jaguars United. He is also a Jaguars YouTuber. All of his links are in the description box down below, so check him out. What are your live days? Tuesday and Friday, right?
Tuesday and Friday, 9 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, where he gives you guys the entertainment when it comes to the live stream. I'll give you guys the 15-minute videos, catching you guys up on what's going on, and then yeah, we're the two-headed duo, and there's all kind. It's great now. There's a lot of Jaguars guys on YouTube now, man. It's great to see. I mean, Jordan from Gin Jags posting videos like every day. You have like Brett James out here doing work, Jersey Jaguar. So there's a good bunch of us now. It's good to have some company out here, right?
I mean, listen, you're being coy because you're the original OG. All right. And listen, every time I get on your show, I try to at least say one time. The reason why I got into Jaguars YouTube is because I enjoyed watching your channel so much. And I was like, you know what? And you were so nice to have me on your channel and things like that. So I appreciate it. I love all the Jaguars content. I started my channel because there was such a void in Jaguars content. I mean, you were the only one. I was like, damn, this dude is out here killing it, being consistent, and it's paid dividends, obviously. That's why you're the biggest Jags YouTuber. But, I'm glad there's more Jaguars content out there because here's the bottom line that Jaguar fans like aren't ready to hear. But if you or me were to drop the Jags and pick up one of these big market teams, we could instantly quadruple our following just because of the fan base. But because we're such loyal Jags fans, we would never even fathom that. But that's the reality of the numbers and the content and all of that. So shout out to you for sticking with it. Thank you for inspiring me to get in it. And anyone that's trying to get in it, let me know. I'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it really is so much fun. I think a big thing isn't just the biggest thing is you got to be passionate about the Jags because, like, I've been doing this in January. It'll be 6 years that I've been doing this, and it's just because I'm so freaking passionate. Like, and I don't see myself ever stopping because I don't see myself ever not being a Jags fan or like ever not like this is a part of my life now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 6 out of my 28 years of life have been here, like on YouTube, which is actually like about 25% of my life has been doing this. I mean, it's a pretty significant portion. So, I mean, it's just a lot of fun. And hopefully the Jaguar, I mean, at some point will be great and we'll be able to celebrate with each other. And, all the people that, we say this all the time, man. Like a lot of people, they get, oh, I hate these bandwagons. Where do these bandwagons come from? Look, these bandwagons, they can act like they're super excited to win, but nobody will enjoy the winning more than the people that stuck with the 4 and 12s, the 3 and 13.
Yep. Yeah,
You know what I
they
mean?
they can wear all the shirts they want, but no one's gonna literally enjoy the moment like the OGs and the ones that were there in the down times.
Yeah, like me, I'm a self-proclaimed huge bandwagon Magic fan. Like I don't watch the Magic, but I tell you, if they're in the playoffs, I am a huge Magic fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not going to, be as happy if they win the finals as somebody that, has watched all their crappy years,
You're not
all
starting a
throughout the last
Magic YouTube
decade.
channel?
You starting to Magic? Okay, yeah, I'll subscribe.
No, I'm
Just
saying
let
I'm
me
not.
let me know.
I'm asking you. You're not? Come on.
Oh, me? No, I don't think. People have asked me to start a UCF thing, and I'm like a UCF YouTube channel or podcast, and I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't know enough about it. Like, I like when it comes to like college football, like there's just so much movement and transfer portals, and like, I'd had to do a lot more research, and with the Jaguars, I really don't do that much research because, like, I'll do some research before a game, just looking up stats and stuff like that, but like. I follow it day to day, so I don't have to like catch up on okay, what happened in the last week, what happened in the last it's just Jaguars. It's I know them so well, I can just easily talk about it.
It's like a part of us. It's not like it kind of goes back to what you said. You have to be passionate. If you look at it as like a job or a work, you're not gonna make it in content creation, especially about a team like the Jags who don't win a lot. So
Yeah,
you're spot on with that analysis.
yeah. Shout out to God of Chair. It's a interesting username. Should we follow the Colts lead and hire Brandon Linder as our head coach? I got really disappointed because, like, the Jaguars Monday with Tony Baselli and Pete Prisco, they do the fan questions. And I submitted a question, said, hey, was Tony Baselli offered the interim job and Urban Meyer got fired? And they didn't read it. I'm like, dude, that would have been hilarious to confront him with it, but whatever. But yeah, that's an interesting move. I mean, I think it's kind of entertaining. I know people, like, a lot of people are offended. Oh, and the thing about it is, like, Jim Irsay can honestly hire whoever he wants. Like, I know other people deserve the opportunity, but at the end of the day, this isn't an NFL issue. This is a life issue. You know how many qualified people get passed up for jobs just because the other people have better connections?
Yeah,
It's interesting.
people join fraternities so that they can get jobs in life. So I mean, to
Yeah.
act like this is some sort of new phenomenon, it didn't Jeff Saturday, wasn't he? Didn't he hold some sort of position with like the NFLPA? Like, I'm pretty sure he did. Like, it's not like the guy is not qualified, but I say all that to say, I was like, I love looking through the coaching staffs of like opposing teams because you always see players like that. Like Reggie Wayne's on the coaching staff for the Colts. Like,
Yeah.
you'll see guys and you're like, whoa, like I didn't expect to see that. When I saw Jeff Saturday, like something in me, intuition was like, this dude's gonna be a head coach. Like he was like an assistant offensive line coach. I was like, just the way that his picture was on the website, it like looked better than everyone else's. I was like, this dude's like trying to get a head coaching job. And
Yeah.
literally the same season, Jeff Saturday's the head. You remember Kevin Mayway for the Jets center? He's like a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's on the Jets coaching staff. He's on someone's coaching staff. I thought the same thing. Like, this dude's gonna be
McMangold,
head
right?
coach in like a year or two.
You talking
So
about
I mean,
McMangold?
not Mangold. It was like Kevin Mayway, MAE or Mayway. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's an All Pro. But like you see like offensive linemen on coaching staffs, and you're like, all right, that dude's gonna be a head coach because like you're not a positional guy, you're not a play caller, you're an offensive line coach. They're kind of like special teams coaches. Those guys get head coaching jobs like Harbaugh. That's how it happens.
And here's the thing: if my best option for head coach on staff is Gus Bradley, I am going out. I am going out. I am hiring anybody. Like, I am accepting job applications because there is no upside to Gus Bradley. At least
you're on Indeed. You're on Indeed.com. Head coach for the Colts.
No, like they literally have like Gus Bradley. They have like John Fox. Like, why do you like go? I mean, with me, I don't blame him. Go out of the box. Just bring in somebody that says, maybe like no one ever brings anybody in from the outside. I don't think it's that laughable of an idea to say, okay, this season is kind of shot to crap. Like, what am I going to learn from Gus Bradley or like John Fox? Why don't we just bring in someone from the outside, see if it sparks anything? I mean, I know a lot of people are like, I don't know. There a lot of people were upset about it. I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I'll be fascinated to see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, just bringing a former guy in like that. I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
I loved Irsay saying like getting offended at tanking. It's like, bro, you promoted Sam Ellinger and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
interim
Come on.
coach was Jeff Saturday. You're gonna get mad at people saying you're tanking. That was comical.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, he's tired of bad quarterbacking. I mean, I don't know, man. It's I mean, I think if he's gonna tank, he's gonna do it this way instead of like, having Gus Bradley accidentally pull 4 wins out of his ass throughout the, at the end of the
Yeah,
season. And then what are
exactly.
you really getting? So, but shout out to Kyle Donovan with a $10 donation. Did you see the Naval Helicopter Squadron in Jacksonville that used the original logo as their squadron logo? HSM 60 is a helicopter squadron and Jax that uses their logo. I think I've seen that before. I can't think of it at the top of my head, but yeah, that's I mean, hell, anything that has Jags logos all over it, hell, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but that's badass. That really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So I'm all about. Okay, Kyle says Kevin Mawai. Is
Kevin
that
Mayway. Yeah,
yeah?
yeah. He was a
Mayway.
Jet
Okay.
center. He was like an all pro. I
Yeah,
gotta look it up now.
yeah. But yeah, it's but yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, like really right now the Colts and the Texans, I don't think they can. I mean, definitely not the Texans. Even though, I mean, we had to find a way to beat the Texans this year, right? I mean, 9-game losing streak against the Texans. That's over half of an NFL season. That's embarrassing. Got to find a way to beat them because at this moment, I mean, they're owning us more than the Titans are, unfortunately.
I mean, you get. I couldn't help but read that comment.
Colts need to hire Bevell. That'd be a good. Hey, Bevell. That'd be the 3rd year in a row he's an interim head coach. I mean, you need
It's
to.
just like it literally like every time, like he's the amount of fan bases that are growing that just like shake their head in like in disgust at the name Daryl Bevell is like growing each year.
Is there a more substitute teacher looking guy than Daryl Bevell?
I mean, when you throw the ball with Marshawn Lynch and then you just go on to be terrible at every stop you have after that, like he just needs to like go coach high school football, like you said, like just go coach high school football, like go dominate some high school and just do that and just be happy, live off your name, but like get out of the pros.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's so hard. I mean, nowadays the higher head coaches, it's like everyone just tries to like they get these guys that have great offenses and great quarterbacks and like what's going on with Nate Hackett right now. Like I knew Nate Hackett wasn't gonna be much. I mean, he just sometimes you just have to have the head coach attitude and mindset. Like Frank Reich just seems like so much more of a quarterback's coach. Nate Hackett is just such a like goofy, it's just a guy you want to mess with. I don't know. He just does not give off head coach vibes. But I mean, I guess I can't talk because somehow beat the Jaguars, which I'm still salty about.
It's so hard to gauge because like Pete Carroll, right? So Gus Bradley came from Pete Carroll's tree of coaches. And like I would if you were asking me like, would you hire a Pete Carroll coach? Then yeah, I would hire a Pete Carroll coach, but Gus Bradley's been so bad. Then you look at a guy like Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell up in Minnesota. He didn't even call plays. He was literally just the offensive coordinator that didn't call plays, and he got a head coaching job in Minnesota. So it's a crapshoot. It really is. You never know. I honestly I stand firm. I think special teams coaches are your best coaches. Jack Del
Yeah.
Rio, John Harbaugh, special teams coaches. I'm telling you, that's who make the best coaches because they manage the game. They evaluate talent for more than just like what they do at their one position. That's who I would hire. But I'm not a coach. I'm just a bottom tier YouTuber. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like nowadays, you have to get really creative. I mean, Kevin O'Connell is not a guy that was like home run hire. It was more of a like, oh, look at them getting the young guy that from the McVay tree. But hell, the McVay tree, I'm probably picking off of that tree because that
that's what I'm saying.
That thing's been doing pretty well. I mean, those fruits have been growing, man. But Yeah, that's
Can I
it's the
claim? Can I be off the UCF Jaguar YouTube tree? Can I
yeah,
can I
man.
be like the can I be the first coordinator off of that tree? Can we just go ahead and start that?
Oh man, we're growing, man. And
There
then
we-
once you pop off, we'll you can get your own tree, okay?
yeah, there we go. We'll just break off from there.
Right now, Doug Peterson broke off the Andy Reid tree. Now we're trying to get Doug Peterson his own tree.
Yeah,
Frank Reich is under the Doug Peterson tree,
yeah,
right? Is that
yeah.
all right? How did that work out? I don't know. Frank Reich, new quarterback coach of the Jaguars, baby.
Hey, we have Mike McCoy. His spot's taken. All right, sorry.
Yeah. Shout out to Kyle for another donation. I had college professors worse than Bevel as a coach. Yeah, I think a lot of us have. But hey, let's shift gears, man. We are this is Kansas City week. I guess this week, I mean, tough. I mean, if you looked at the schedule before the year, this was probably the toughest game when you point out because Kansas City, not an easy place to play. You're playing, this is the most elite quarterback you're going to play. I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't think there's anybody I take over him just when it comes to how he runs that offense, his accuracy, his ability to, move around, and just his overall football IQ is just off the charts. And him and Andy Reid are a really good combo. So with this one, Jaguars are 9.5-point underdogs. I guess going into this one, how do you feel about this matchup?
The problem is, and I think this game ends up being a shootout because I think the Chiefs get up big early, the Jags come back, and then Mahomes answers in the second. I think this, I mean, take the over if you're that type of person that gambles, but I think that the defense is going to be on its heels. The issue that the Jags have had on defense is covering the deep ball along the sidelines. We saw Devontae Adams feast on that early, even on guys like Tyson Campbell. The deep ball to the sideline just had trouble covering. And then those crossing routes in the middle. I mean, I love Alukin, I love Lloyd, but they're just having problems communicating and passing off route concepts. And whether it's Mike Caldwell's inability to get out of that cover one shell, cover three, where you're playing man, or the fact that these linebackers just aren't great at covering the crossers. Teams know that that's how they're going to beat us. They're going to read the linebacker, and if you cover the crosser, they're going to dump it out to the running back, and if you flare out to the running back, they're going to throw it to the crosser. And these quarterbacks are just reading the linebackers pre-snap. So we have seen Mike Caldwell roll a little bit more into the cover two, too high look, and I think that's why we've had some success in recent games with the defense. But a guy like Mahomes, like you said, just he doesn't get hit. He doesn't get pressured. His ability to change his arm angle allows him to kind of step up in any direction toward whichever half of the field he wants to pursue. And he just makes the throw. So we're going to have trouble. The offense is going to have to play really well. We're going to have to get into a shootout and just going to have to hope that we can get some turnovers and just maybe end the game with the ball and kick a field goal to win it. And that's going to be the game plan, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, this one, the offense is going to have to win it for the Jags. And this is another game where I feel like, and you've seen it all throughout this year, man, like with a lot of these, like whoever gets the ball last, it seems like wins because, and it's going to be especially the case over here because, like, you give Derek Carr the ball back, he choked. He wasn't able to push it downfield, but, Daniel Jones moved it down. Russell Wilson moved it down. Even like Carson Wentz moved it down. When the defense needed to make a crucial stop, they did not. And hopefully that ended last game. But if you're going to go out there and, give Patrick Mahomes the ball back with 3 minutes left, down 4 points, he's going to score a touchdown, most likely. So you have to find a way to, be able to have the final possession. If you need to score a touchdown, do it. Or if you need to kick a field goal, be able to get down there and do it. This could be a big, big moment because this feels like it's going to set up for a potential game-winning drive from, the offense. And they've been able to do it before. I mean, what was it? The Giants game where the Jaguars did go down there
To the 1 yard line.
Yeah, it was a 1 yard line. But
Yeah.
what was the game? There was a game where maybe it was the Colts. I forget. One of the games of the losing streak. The offense went down there and boom, they scored a touchdown. The offense had won it. All the defense needed to do was make one stop, and they couldn't do it. And that's another big thing about this one. And really, the Jaguars started 2-1. And a big reason for that was, we talk about being new, it being a weakness for the Jaguars, but at that point, it was a strong point because no one knew how to beat us. But then it was learned pretty quickly. Okay, just do some crossing routes, get rid of the ball quickly. You don't have to be able to run the ball through the short pass game. You're going to be able to drive on this defense. And, that's exactly what happened. So I'm hoping that the defense with Mike Caldwell, they figured it out when it comes to being better. I know they held down, 0 points in the second half against the Raiders. That was outstanding. But I guess just this Chiefs mess up. It's hard. I think the Jaguars will cover the 9.5 points. I don't know if the Jaguars will necessarily win just because this is you look at it. We're a 3-6 football team going away, and we've won one away game the last 3 years. So we got to have them prove us wrong, but we're going to be in it. I definitely think it's going to be close. And, Trevor Lawrence is going to have another one of his, another career game, kind of like he had against the Raiders.
Yeah, it's no doubt about the Chiefs being one of the toughest competitions. But like we talked about earlier, any given Sunday, the Jags play up to their competition. It'll at least be a game. That's what we know. We can look at their past history. It's going to go into the fourth quarter, and we're going to be competitive. So, listen, to go into Arrowhead with this team, with the inexperience of really just the cohesiveness and the experience of the coach and the quarterback. If you're competitive in this game, then that should be, optimistic for Jags fans. So we'll see what happens. The Jags have a tendency to break our hearts at the end of the game. But I think if we just as Jags fans remember that this year is kind of a learning and growing year. And I know Jags fans hate to hear that because we've been sucking for decades. But next year's the target year. So have Trevor continue to look good. Have Etienne continue to look good. I think we're going to fall apart where we all know we're going to fall apart, in the secondary, the interior defensive line, the coverage in the linebacker spot. I think we're going to fall apart there. But if we can continue to just get better every game, I don't think this Chiefs game is a game that we necessarily have to win to feel good about next year making the Super Bowl run that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, this is a must win if you want to. If we have our playoff hopes, you gotta, But I don't think. Playoffs right now, it's not a realistic thing, and it kind of sucks because, it's funny because I called into, one of my buddies is actually a Clemson Tigers YouTuber, and he was
nice.
having a call-in show, so I called in a couple weeks ago. And he's like, man, there were a couple of them on there, and they're like, it seems like Jaguar fans are sick of Trevor Lawrence or something. I just said, yeah, they're just. They were labeled generational, that we all, a lot of people thought he'd just come in here and immediately be great. And, it just doesn't work like that. And, he needed a little bit more development than he thought that he would. And somebody says, he's like, oh, well, you would think that Jaguar fans would know to be patient. I'm like, no, this is the most impatient fan base right now because we're so freaking tired of losing. We don't like to go into these years and be like, all right, it's going to be another bad year. Just be patient. They're tired of the patient word, which is understandable. But at the same time, you watch these games. The Jaguars, this feels like we could, a team that's almost as good as 2017. And I know the rosters are way different, but it feels like a really talented team that's just that needs a few more pieces and then they could probably pop off.
To think that any fan base is patient. Literally. Think of any fan base and any pro sports team besides baseball franchises that have no payroll. What franchise is patient? You look at a team like the Browns that have Deshaun Watson coming in after his suspension. Even that's half of a season. No pro franchise is patient because leagues are designed for parity, whether it's the salary cap or the draft order. Listen, there's not time for patience nowadays. It's a league where you have to win now. It's been that way since the early 2000s, and Bill Belichick came in with Tom Brady and started winning immediately. Ever since then, the league's been win now. And so if you can't win now, then it's too bad. So it's unfortunately changed the game. It's changed the way that these franchises have built teams, but you aren't afforded the luxury of being the number one overall pick and given more than 2 years to show that you're the number 1 overall pick. So we've seen it time and time again. I mean, Kyler Murray, how quickly did the fan base turn on him about Call of Duty and all of that? You know, Baker Mayfield, how quickly did the fan base turn on Baker Mayfield? You know, it's just that's it. You don't have a big window to prove you're number 1 overall pick. And although I think Lawrence will be the better of any of these players I've named, no franchise is patient. So that's just the reality of sports nowadays.
Yeah, and I think also what's transpired in the last like 2 years is, you saw the Bengals go from like worst to Super Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
number 1 pick to Super Bowl within 2 years. And you also saw in 2020, Justin Herbert went out there and had a unrealistically good year. And then you saw him and it's like, oh my God, like Trevor Lawrence should be ready right away to do that. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the generational thing, the so much more pro ready. And it just, unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that for everybody. But, could you, a lot of people have been tired of Trevor Lawrence this year. I mean, could you imagine if the Eagles were tired of Jalen Hurts after 2 years and they decided to get rid of him? I mean, right now he's playing like top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean,
top 1.
Yeah.
Top 1. his stats are amazing right now.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine if the Bills got tired of Josh Allen after his first 2 years? I mean, you had to squeeze the toothpaste on this one, man. And it's not like a Josh Rosen situation where like, Josh Rosen was bad and it was pretty clear earlier on. And he played him into the number 1 overall pick where you're going to get a much better graded guy. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, us Jaguar fans, we've been through so much bad quarterbacking. I mean, the last thing I would want to do, imagine letting go of Trevor Lawrence and like, he's going to go on and have such great success elsewhere. So we have to get behind him. He's our quarterback. We have to go with him through the lows. And I know it sucks. And I know all of us want instant gratification, but I think we're going to be all right with him. And I think, with the franchise, we already made a big move for 2023 with Calvin Ridley. So that does really well when it comes to the receiver core. And we got to get a few more pieces right. And just not only that, just keep growing together. Doug Peterson knows more about the system. Mike Caldwell becomes a second-year defense coordinator, and Trevor Lawrence takes a year 3 leap. I mean, we should be pretty good next year in an AFC South that's a little bit questionable.
Yeah, I mean, I think, next year is the window. And I mean, and the contracts too. I mean, you don't have a lot of cap room next year. Even if you get rid of the cap casualties like Marvin Jones Jr. and Shaq Griffin and Roy Robertson Harris, James Robinson, obviously he wasn't like heavy on the cap, but if you were going to resign him, he would have been. So you got rid of all the guys that are going to like take up the space on your books, and you're still looking at probably under 40 million to add to your team next year. So the team is this. The time is next year. The time is now. Listen, teams with quarterbacks that are in their rookie deals, that's their window. That's their sweet spot. So we're in a good position. And I think like any level-headed Jags fan with perspective would tell you that. It's just hard not to get emotional. When you spend your time and your money and your energy on a team and they underperform, they don't do what they're supposed to, we all get angry. But if we just take a deep breath and remind ourselves that like we have more talent on this team than the Jaguars have had in decades, then listen, we're in a better spot than we've been. Let's make a run. Let's see what we can do. Calvin Ridley should get every Jags fan tingling. So let's see what we got. We're in a good position. So let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it, and yeah, I mean, we have I think we have a lot to look forward to. I know, it's interesting with having the Titans in our division. I mean, I can never understand their direction, but they're a team that knows how to win. The Jaguars had to get to that point, man, because like Vrabel is such a good coach. I mean, they win games in the weirdest ways. They play tough with all these different opponents. I mean, that's the real thing to beat. But right now, I mean, you look at it, and Trevor Lawrence is the second best quarterback in this division, and and he might be the best. I mean,
I think he's the best.
I mean, I would probably say he's the best. I'll give Tannehill his due because he's been around for a while and he's more accomplished at this point. But I mean, imagine if we're in the AFC East and you have Josh Allen, you have, Tua's playing good, and maybe that wasn't the best division, but
no. I mean, that they were just talking on ESPN about how The AFC East, every team could potentially make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You got Tua, you got the Patriots who could make a run. You have the Bills who with Josh Allen could make a run, and then you have the Jets who are playing really well. So I mean, you have a good point. I mean, we're in the worst division. There's teams out there where there's divisions out there where every team can make the playoffs. We have to capitalize. I mean, we have to. You're spot on.
And we also, if you look at every division in the AFC, everybody has a superstar quarterback. You know, there's Josh Allen in the East. There's Mahomes and Herbert in the West. In the North, you have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. You know, right now we're hoping Trevor Lawrence can get into that territory. But right now, outside of Trevor Lawrence, there is nobody near that realm. I mean,
well, what you do have is you do have maybe the two best running backs in the AFC.
Oh, you have 4 really, really good running backs in the AFC
between
South.
Taylor and Henry. I mean, those might be the two best in the league.
And Damian Pierce is really good too.
Yeah. So I mean, again,
we'd all rather have quarterbacks. Running backs.
We'd all rather have quarterbacks.
The AFC South always has running backs. They never have quarterbacks.
No, I'm just trying to make a case. You're right, though. You're right.
And that's been a thing with the Jaguars. The Jaguars throughout time, we always have a running back, it seems like, you know, you go from, Freddie T to Mojo to, I guess you can maybe even throw in Fournette in the mix. If you're a big Fournette guy. James Robinson was good. I mean, ETN,
Bro, Carlos Hyde?
Carlos Hyde? Which one? Round 1 or round 2?
Come on, man. Come on. You're not going to honorable mention Carlos Hyde? Come on.
I made the argument. I'm like, which Carlos Hyde was more annoying, stint 1 or stint 2? Because like each of them were so vastly different. I even made a video about it because it's super intriguing. Because who
was the damn, what was his name? Who was the quarterback? Deshaun Robinson? You're not going to mention Deshaun Robinson?
Denard Robinson. Put some respect on his name, man.
Wait, what is it?
Denard. He was on our coaching staff for like 5 or 6 years, and now he's up in Michigan. Yeah, that was I don't know what happened to him.
Denard Robinson? Come on.
He made a transition to running back, and it was like, oh, he's got a little bit of speed, and he came back one year, and he was like 20 pounds heavier. I'm like, and he's getting sprained ankles now because he can't run with his shoelaces tied or something. It was a
shoelace Robinson.
And then he randomly drove his car into a lake.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
it was by a Dick's Sporting Goods here in Jacksonville. Or
yeah, I don't know what. I mean, he was definitely feeling some type of way. There were some extracurricular activities involved there, which hey man, just have fun. Just don't do it behind the wheel.
That's true.
Yeah,
I just can't believe you left Denard out of that list.
Yeah, I mean, I honorable mention, and I could have put Justin Forsett in there. You remember he had a. He had a little.
I forgot he was on
Storm
the team.
Johnson.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Storm Johnson. We'll just talk about running back. How about Toby Gerhart?
Oh wait, how are we not going to mention TJ Yeldon, the next great? I mean, he actually was good, and he's still forgotten in Jaguars history.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we've had a long ring of guys, but nothing is bad of our quarterback. Let's just hope we have the guy.
We're not going to go through that. We don't have the. I don't have the mental capacity to go through the quarterbacks here.
Instead, we'll just talk about our first round picks. All right, no, joking.
Or our coaches. Where does it end?
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. All right, so guys, we're going on an hour. I appreciate Jason from Jaguars United coming on here. Talking that talk. Oh, Jags fan threw out Jamal Charles.
Oh,
Jaguars
forgot about that one.
Yeah. Corey Grant. Gotta love Corey Grant.
Headlights. Wasn't it Headlights? Was that his name?
I think
tail lights or something like that.
And then actually I was at his funeral. I went to the Kansas City game in 2018 where he hurt his Lisfranc and never came back. I don't mean his literal funeral, but
I was like, wait, who?
Yeah, I saw your face drop. No, I was at his metaphorical football funeral where he got hurt, and then he signed on to a team's training camp roster for
Packers?
Literally like a day.
Did we get him from the Packers, or did he go to the Packers?
No, he went to the Packers and signed there and was on a roster for a day.
Yeah,
and I think it was like, yeah, you're screwed. Like, I mean, if he's a guy, if he loses any bit of speed, he doesn't have anything because that's what he was all about. And then he haunts our memories because if we use him a little bit more, maybe we'd be in the Super Bowl. But
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, whatever. We don't need to bring up bad times.
No.
But yeah, we're running on an hour. Thanks everyone for being here. Like I said, man, all of Jason's links are down below. He'll be live. He's doing a live show on Friday, right?
Yep, Friday night, 9 p.m.
All right, breaking down the film. Love it. Go support our Jaguars creators, man. It's it's always a good time, and hopefully, I know there's better futures ahead. Let's go out there. Let's go out there and beat the Chiefs on Sunday.
Get
Let's
some barbecue.
momentum.
Win the game. Let's do it.
I mean, how much better is your day and the whole week after a Jaguars W? It doesn't get much better than that.
I mean, just honestly, the team being competitive, it's like I have to check myself. I mean, like I remember being a fan for the last 10 years, sans 2017, where the Jags ruined your week every single week. So I'm happy.
Been there. But all right, guys, thanks for being here. Talk to y'all later.